All right, let's jump right in because today we're talking about something that sounds a little weird at first. The incredibly strange link between two of our most basic drives, the need to eat and the urge to move. You'd think they're totally separate, but it turns out they're locked in this fascinating dance. I mean, think about it for a second. Have you ever been super hungry and you just can't sit still? You find yourself pacing around, just feeling restless? Or what about the other way around? You finish a really tough workout and someone asks what you want for dinner and you're like, I'm not even hungry. That feeling, that's exactly what we're digging into today. And hey, if that sounds familiar, you're not going crazy. It feels totally backward, right? Shouldn't being hungry make you want to, save your energy? And shouldn't a hard workout make you want to immediately refuel? Well, this connection is a real thing, and scientists have been fascinated by it for a long, long time. All right, so let's break this down and see what the science actually says about this strange connection. So, where did this idea come from? Well, we got to go back to this really cool paper from 1986 by Pierce, Epling, and Boer. They designed this brilliant set of experiments to finally get to the bottom of this mystery. How does depriving yourself of one thing, like food, affect how much you want something else that seems totally unrelated, like exercise? To figure this out, they had to get creative. They needed a way to actually measure how motivated an animal was. So how'd they do it? Let's take a look inside their experiment with rats. So get this set up. The researchers built this special cage where a rat had to work for its reward. But here's the twist. The reward wasn't a piece of cheese or anything. It was access to a running wheel. The act of running itself was the prize. That's super important. The process was pretty simple, but honestly, it's brilliant. Here's how it worked. First, the rat has to press a lever. As soon as it does, a brake on the running wheel is released. And boom, for that hard work, the rat gets a full 60 seconds to just run as much as it wants before that brake locks back on. Okay, but here's the really clever part. How do you measure motivation? You don't just count clicks. They use something called a progressive ratio schedule. Seriously, just think of it like a video game that gets harder and harder. At first, maybe it only takes 5 lever presses to unlock the wheel. Next time it's 10, then 15, then 20. Eventually, you get to the break point. That's the moment the rat just decides, you know what, this isn't worth it anymore, and it gives up. And that break point, that's everything. It's like a perfect little window into the rat's mind. The more times it's willing to press that lever, the higher that break point number is, the more it truly values that minute of running. It's an awesome way to put a number on desire. So with that whole setup ready to go, they jumped into their first big experiment. And what they found was wild. Hunger actually makes running feel more rewarding. Okay, so the experiment was a straight comparison between two groups of rats. On one side, you had your happy, well-fed rats, just chilling at their normal, healthy body weight. And on the other side, you had the food-deprived rats. Now, they were kept at about 75% of their normal weight. So they were definitely hungry, but not dangerously starved or anything. All right, so here's where I want you to make a prediction. Remember, the prize here is getting to run, not getting food. Which group do you think is going to work harder to unlock that wheel? The well-fed rats with all the energy in the world, or the hungry ones? And the results? Man, they were not subtle at all. Just look at this graph from the paper. Each one of those lines represents a single rat, and for every single one of them, the line goes way up. When the rats were hungry, at 75% of their body weight, their break point was way, way higher. They were willing to work so much harder, which proves it. Being deprived of food actually made them value exercise more. But wait, it gets better. This wasn't just a one-way street. The researchers then flipped the whole thing on its head and asked, okay, does running make food less rewarding? So for the second experiment, they completely flipped the script. This time, the reward for pressing the lever was a good old-fashioned food pellet. But before the test even started, some of the rats got 19 hours with a totally unlocked, free-to-use running wheel, while the others had their wheel locked. The big question was, if you let a rat fill up on exercise, do they still care as much about food? And the answer was a huge, resounding no. Look at this graph. It shows the total number of times the rats were willing to press the lever for food. In the locked wheel group, yeah, they worked pretty hard for their snack. But then look at the open wheel group. For the rats that got to run beforehand, their motivation to work for food just absolutely tanked. This next graph makes it even more obvious. It's almost shocking. These lines show how fast they were pressing the lever over time. A steep line means they're really going for it. And for the locked wheel group, you see those nice, steep lines. They want the food. But look at the open wheel condition. The lines are practically flat. You can literally see their motivation just vanish into thin air. After running, they basically just didn't care about working for food anymore. So, what's the big picture here? What does all this mean? When you step back, you realize this isn't just about rats and wheels. It's about this incredible, hidden web of motivation that's hardwired into us. There's actually a scientific term for this. It's called an establishing operation. It sounds complicated, but it's really just a fancy way of saying that one experience, like not having enough food, can totally change how much you want something else that seems completely unrelated, like going for a run. Our motivations aren't separate. They're all tangled together. Okay, so let's just recap the whole thing. Finding number 1, making a rat hungry made running seem way more valuable. Finding number 2, letting a rat run its heart out made food seem way less valuable. The big takeaway here, these two basic drives are locked in this powerful give and take relationship.
But why? Why would this even be a thing? Well, the researchers had a pretty compelling idea, and it all comes down to evolution. As they put it, when food is scarce, which animals are more likely to survive? The ones that just sit there and conserve energy, or the ones that are suddenly driven to get active, to explore, to cover more ground and search for food? It makes perfect sense, right? When you're hungry, your body doesn't just sit around waiting. It pushes you to get up and move to find that next meal.
And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. We just uncovered this hidden wire connecting hunger and exercise. It really makes you wonder, right? What other desires in our own lives, things that we think are totally separate, are actually secretly pulling each other's strings right under the surface?